Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that have been here before, thank you again for coming back. For those of you that are new here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sydney Smith and I am a personal growth mentor who focuses on mental and spiritual wellness. And in today's video, I wanted to share a little bit more about me and about my story. So maybe you can connect to me a little bit more. You can understand where I'm coming from. If you've already heard this story, then maybe you can hear it from a new perspective. But really, I just wanted to let you all in on who I am, why I am here showing up in the way that I am. So today I am sharing the story of my mental breakdown. And this is a really interesting story for me to share. I have shared it in the written word before. I have talked about it one-on-one with people, but I have never actually recorded a video of me talking about this story and sharing it with the world. So I hope that you can maybe resonate with my story and what I'm sharing. Maybe you've gone through something similar. Maybe it'll help you to understand somebody that you know who has gone through something similar. Maybe it'll just help you to understand me a little bit better. And maybe it will open you up to understanding a little bit more about mental health, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, and all of that. So I hope that there is something that you can take away from this video. As I share this story, I'm going to be sharing it kind of in three different viewpoints. So the first, I'm going to talk about exactly how I experienced my mental breakdown and the moments that I was going through while it was happening. Then I'm going to share what led to my mental breakdown and why I didn't see it coming. And then finally, I'm going to share with you the afterwards, the years of healing that it took for me to get to where I am today, and why I think that you, if you've experienced a mental breakdown or if you experience anxiety or depression, why I fully believe that you will be able to get through, and why I fully believe that hard times sometimes are necessary for us to reach greatness. So jumping right into how I felt during my mental breakdown and everything that I experienced in that exact moment. It's tough. It's really, really tough to talk about and to put myself back in that space. I'm sure any of you that are watching this, if you've experienced something similar, it can be really hard to put yourself back in that moment of time where life was hard. Life was really, really difficult. And for me, I think the hardest thing that I experienced during my breakdown were the thoughts that were flowing through my mind. And I think this is the hardest thing for a lot of people to understand, because what goes through my mind is completely different than what goes through your mind. And we're generally not putting ourselves in each other's minds. So it's hard for us to understand the experience of somebody else within their mind. And so for me, when I experienced my mental breakdown, it was a overwhelm of emotions, an overwhelm of negative thoughts and limiting beliefs that really all centered around, I can't continue. I can't continue living the way that I'm living. I can't continue thinking the things that I'm thinking. I can't be surrounded by the environment that I'm surrounded by. And I just truly felt like life was over. I felt like there was no point. I felt like everything that I had worked towards for the previous years of my life were for nothing, and they led me to this feeling of nothing, this feeling that I was nothing, this feeling that I wasn't doing all that I could do, all that I could be. And it was honestly just a hamster wheel of thoughts of, you're never going to get out of this. You're constantly going to be in this state of being upset. When I was in my mental breakdown, I couldn't even get words out. I couldn't even get full thoughts out because, like I said, it was an overwhelm of emotions. It was me crying for 3+ hours in the back of my car, on the phone with my mom, then not on the phone with my mom, then on the phone with my mom, then not on the phone with my mom, and just literally feeling like there was no way that I could get out of this. There was no way for me to move forward. It just was all encompassing. And then there was a moment. It was as if a light was turned on at the end of a tunnel. Like I was in a cave and I couldn't see any way out. I was just surrounded by darkness. And then all of a sudden there was this faint light. I was nowhere near it, yet I could kind of see it. And that light truly was words that my mom spoke to me, receiving that simple hand of, let me help you out of here. Because I think that was the hardest part for me, was feeling so alone, living nowhere near family really, and never opening myself up fully to what I was experiencing. I mean, that is more of what led me here, so I'll get to that in a minute. But in those moments, it truly was just that life was over, and it was over in the way that I knew it. Not that I was dying or considering it. It was just that the life that I knew, the comfort that I knew was no longer there, and I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know where to go. I didn't even know the direction to look until, as I said, that light, that candle was lit. And it was my mom saying to me, you can move on. You can go in a completely different direction than where you're headed right now. And receiving those words, receiving that support and that level of, no matter what you decide, I will be here for you, was literally all I needed. It was all that I needed in order to say, maybe life isn't over. Maybe the life that I knew and the life that I've been living is over, but maybe there is a way for me to move forward. I didn't really go into too much detail there on exactly how, what I experienced in that moment, because honestly, I think it's really hard for someone to fully explain that feeling and that state of being, unless maybe you've experienced it yourself. Then maybe you can kind of reflect your own opinions and thoughts on what I went through. But it literally was the worst moment of my life. So what led me there? Why didn't I see it coming? What got me to that moment? It's a bunch of things. It is a bunch of different things that led me to my mental breakdown. And the reason why I didn't see it coming is because I wasn't opening myself up to those things that were happening. I was avoiding them because I didn't want to move through them because they were negative, and I didn't even want to think about them, and I didn't want to have emotions about them because it was hard. Though all of those little things, every little thing that led up to my mental breakdown, it was like months of little things happening, maybe even over a year of things happening that I wasn't allowing myself to fully move through. And when I say fully move through, it's not like these were physical things. It was very much from a mental point, and from a spiritual point. Things happened in my life, and I just said, I didn't even say anything. I didn't even take a moment to say, oh yeah, that happened. Let me think about it. It was like I was putting my blinders on. I had a life that I knew that I needed to live. And so anything that was negative outside of that, anything that told me that I wasn't good enough and I had to change, like I put those blinders on and I said, I just got to keep trucking. I just got to keep trucking. And so because I wasn't working through mentally and emotionally every little thing that happened, it all came together in my mental breakdown. It all was brought back up to the surface at once. So it was my mental state of not fully enjoying my life. Even though I enjoyed a lot of aspects of my life, it was very much, I was living for the future, I want to say. Like I had dreams and aspirations of how I wanted my life to look, but now was not the time to create that. I just, like I said, I had my blinders on. I just had to get through what it was that I was moving through. And then maybe in, a year's time, 2 years time, I'll be able to start working towards that future dream that I'm dreaming of. So having that mindset of not being in the moment and fully enjoying the moment really took me out of enjoying the moment, because it was like the future, that's what I'm eventually going to work towards, but I'm not even working towards it right now. So it was my mindset, my mental state, my avoidance of emotions, right? So every little thing that happened, I was avoiding. I would start to get, a couple little negative emotions forward, of worry, of stress, of judgment and blame and resentment. And I would say, nope, blinders up, can't even think about this. I got to just keep trucking. So the avoiding of my mental state and the negativity of my mental state, it wasn't even that like, oh, my current life is awful. It was that I wasn't even focusing on my current life. And it was, one day I'll get to that future point. One day I'll get there. And then the avoidance of my emotions, not working through them, not processing them, just sweeping them under the rug. Didn't know that they would come up later. And then hiding my true self. That was a huge factor into what led me to my mental breakdown. I knew deep down who I wanted to be. I knew deep down who I was, and I was avoiding that person, and I was hiding that person. I wasn't just hiding that person from me, I was hiding that person from everyone. I think a huge part was also believing that I had to be somebody that other people told me to be. And I allowed myself to become this version of myself that other people kind of influenced me to be. It's not like they said like, be this person, otherwise you'll die. It was just their words and their thoughts and their actions influenced and impacted me to believe that I could only live this way, right? Like I made the choice, and I can see that now. I made the choice to hide myself, to hide my true self. So ultimately, my mental state, the avoidance of my emotions, my environment, because I was not in a supportive environment, I was not in the environment that I'm supposed to be in. There was definitely a lot of drama and negativity and other things in my environment that had effects on me, but that was not the only thing. There were a lot of other things that played into my mental breakdown, but the environment definitely had a little bit of a play into it. And then my soul. So my mental state, my emotions, my environment, and my soul, these four things, they were not able to work together for my best interest. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that in order for anyone to move forward in life, to grow, to be the person that they're supposed to be, and to achieve greatness, those things need to work together. Your mindset, your emotions, your environment, and your soul all need to work together for your best interest, and mine were not. So that's kind of what led me to my breakdown and why I didn't see it coming. I was hiding from my mind. I was hiding from my thoughts. I was hiding from my emotions, and I was hiding from my true self. So what happened after? What happened after my mental breakdown? The years of healing that I worked through to get to where I am today. The moment that that light was flicked on at the end of the tunnel, that was the beginning of my rebirth. It was a decision within me that I said, things need to change. A lot of things need to change, and I need to figure out who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world. And so I spent, I'm still kind of creating that who I am and I'm constantly reflecting on that. Who am I and how do I want to show up for the world? But that moment was kind of the first moment in my life in a long time that I realized I needed to figure that out. And so it was the beginning of my rebirth. It was figuring out who I want to be and how do I want to show up in the world. And so I changed almost everything. I changed my job, the town that I lived in, so all of my surroundings. I changed my mental state, and I changed my emotions and how I process them. And I stopped hiding from myself. And I said, I'm going to show up in the world and do the things that truly make me happy right now. I don't want to see the future in the distance and say, I wonder when I'm going to start being able to work towards that. I want to see the present as, wow, this is a beautiful moment that I get to create and enjoy right here and now. And I'm telling you, realizing that and getting to that point took a long time and a lot of hard work. It wasn't bing, bang, done. I'm great. As I said, the years of healing that led me to here, where I am today. So through those years, through that time, after that light switch went on and I made that decision and I started reflecting on who I am and how I want to show up in the world, I went through a lot of healing, emotional healing, mental healing, physical healing, spiritual healing. I went through a lot of learning about myself, learning about past behaviors and beliefs that I instilled on myself that were limiting me and how I could show up in the world. And then I had to change those behaviors and belief systems. And I did a lot of growing, a lot of growing. Ultimately, I realized that I want to grow and I constantly want to show up as the best version of myself. And the only way for me to truly do that is to show up and is to say, what has affected me from my past that I need to heal from? What can I learn from my past and my present that will allow me to grow and to become better? Ultimately, I jumped back on my soul path. In connecting back to who I am and in stopping that hiding, right? I stopped hiding from myself was when I was able to redirect and get back onto my soul path. And every moment since, I've been able to reflect and say, yeah, this is leading me in the right direction. It's not easy. It's hard. Remember when I said what led me to my mental breakdown is that I was avoiding. I wasn't thinking about my mind. I wasn't thinking about my emotions. I wasn't processing it because it was hard and I didn't want to process it. I thought it was easier to just brush it under the rug. What I've learned from that is it's not easier because then it's going to explode into that mental breakdown. And so now I show up and I do the work. I do the hard work now so I can continue to enjoy life on a daily basis. So that's kind of the breakdown of my mental breakdown and how I experienced it, what led me to it and why I didn't see it coming. And then the years after of me healing, learning, and growing to get to where I am today. And this final topic, the years of healing, I am going to go deeper into it in another video. So stay tuned for that. But ultimately, what I learned from my mental breakdown and the way that I can look at it today is with gratitude. I actually am at a point in my life where I am grateful for having experienced that, because it's what woke me up. It woke me up to start living my life. And it really taught me, as I said at the start of this video, that hard times can lead to greatness. And hard times will pass. But you have to put the work in order to get you to that greatness. And ultimately, what I learned is that trusting in the bigger picture of life and having faith in whatever it is that you believe in, trusting and having faith, those are my number ones. I need those two in order to create a life that I am going to enjoy living right now. And finally, what I learned is that I need to be open to growing constantly. Because being on your personal growth journey, it is a constant. And I am dedicated to my growth fully. I know that I can constantly be working towards becoming a better version of myself. And I have showed up in my life, and I have decided that that is what I'm going to do. So that is the breakdown of my mental breakdown. I really hope that you were able to take some points from this, if it resonated with you in your life, or maybe just for you to learn a little bit more about me and my journey, and maybe why it is that I'm showing up now as a personal growth mentor who focuses on mental and spiritual wellness. Because I want to help people who may have experienced something similar to myself. I want to be that person that helps you find that light at the end of the tunnel, because I know it's there. And I know that you can find it, and you can create it, and you can start moving in a beautiful direction. And if you are in that place right now and you are saying, I don't even know where the light is, please reach out. Ask for help, whether you ask me, whether you ask somebody else in your life, because we all deserve to know that there is a light there. There's a light here. And the moment that you see it, life becomes something brand new to experience. And you start making all the right decisions to help you move forward in your life. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.